Well, welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Tanner O'Brien. I'm a senior partner here at Action Coach in Central Texas. Today, I'm sitting down with Rory Bebbington, who is the founder and CEO of Fabric Staffing. Excited to be just jumping in, having some conversation about business, about entrepreneurship, about this crazy journey that many of us are on, and all of that sort of stuff here. So, Rory, first and foremost, just thank you for being here. Excited to dive in. Why don't we just start with a little bit of background? Give us kind of the 10,000 foot view of what is Fabric Staffing, and tell us a little bit about kind of your journey to starting the company.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, I appreciate it, and thanks for having me. It's always fun to do these types of things, so appreciate it. What is Fabric Staffing on my journey? I'll try and wrap that up in a somewhat short elevator pitch, I guess. So in short, Fabric is a recruiting company, staffing firm. They're the same thing. That is predominantly, I'd say, specialized around engineering and products, but since COVID, we've tended to do everything. And it's just a typical type. The typical types of roles we do now vary. Our model is a subscription-based model. So it's really sort of geared towards companies that are looking to hire multiple people in a short time frame, with less money than they would pay to go out and cherry pick one or two roles with a different traditional type agency. So we're based on a sort of subscription retainer model, where people can companies can hire as many people as they want. And generally we work with startups, Series A, Series B, seed, Series C sometimes too, but it's really anyone. We don't specifically say only startups. It's just how it works sometimes when startups are in growth mode, and that's the general types of companies that need to hire more people in volume, and it works well with them. So, and with that, they'll start with usually tech roles, and then they'll progress into marketing roles and sales roles and all different types. So it just really depends on as the companies continue to grow, they'll give us other roles. So yes, we're known for engineering and product roles, but we do everything, or a wide range of different types of roles these days. So yeah, that's us. As for my background, how Fabric came around, I started in the staffing world in 2009, and I helped start and grow another recruiting firm. Different type of model to Fabric. It was more of a traditional staffing model, which was an amazing experience. I helped them grow. I think I was employee number 6, and they ended up around a 150 mark, something like that, across 6 geographies. I started their LA office. Then I helped build their San Francisco office and Chicago office too. So, and then I kind of oversaw all 3 of them. So that was the pivot point to then, after 7 years, me deciding to start my own company, which has now been going for 8 years, which is crazy when I think about it. It'll be 8 years next month. So,
Wow,
yeah, it's been a wild ride.
that's impressive. So over the 8 years, then, what's your team size? Like, what is the I don't know, company structure look like for you in terms of kind of have you built up a pretty big team? How is your what's your role within the company today? As founder and CEO, kind of what does that mean in the size of business you have today?
Yeah, so team size right now is 5. We're still relatively small and nimble. My role really is to drive new business for the organization. That's my primary role, as well as work with existing accounts and candidates that I know and people in my network. I mean, I think that people that get into recruiting and staffing in general, I don't think that ever leaves them, because it's so much relationship based that you have all these relationships over for 15 years now. I've been in business. So you have all these relationships that never end, which is the awesome thing about it. So I'm all seeing, all doing. I do all kinds of functions as well as run the business. But I have an amazing team that help me with so much of the day-to-day that I couldn't do without them. So I think whether it's a small company, big company, having the right people underneath you is critical, which is what we preach, right? Which is what the service we provide for other companies. We make sure they get the right people, which enables them to grow and build their products, services, and organizations. So yeah.
Very cool. So kind of knowing that you get an opportunity to do a few different things, is there like a part of either the business or like what your kind of daily activities are today that you just absolutely love, would ideally never give up if you have the opportunity to? And then maybe like reverse that. Is there anything that you're currently doing that you're like, I can't wait to get rid of this one, hand it off to the next person that we hire?
Oh yeah, back office stuff I hate. That's any true sales business development person will tell you the same thing. Back office, no thanks. Doing things like P&L we get like anything to do with the web hosting or domain name, any kind of back office admin stuff I do not like doing. So yeah, there's that. Like right now it's sort of tax time. I'm having to go over things with a fine tooth comb or preparing us for that. Yeah, vein of my life. I tend to put it off on a Sunday and I just do a couple of hours of it. What I love, I love the people element, like just connecting with people and reaching out to people. Right now, I'm reaching out to some of the, well, basically all the people that I've known over the years that I've had really, really good relationships with, and just saying hi, which has been awesome. The amount of people that have come back and said, "Oh man, I haven't spoken to you for 10 years." So, but it's crazy how much of a long memories people have and people still remember you. So that's something I'll never change. I love talking to my team. I get excited for our team meetings, which are sort of twice, 3 times a week. But we kind of talk and text, and we're constantly on Slack, all day long. So, you know, I love the team we have. So, yeah, just the people element and just connecting with people. It's funny, we live in the country now, and I quite like being away from people, but it's because I work with people day long, and you do need a break. Don't get me wrong. So I do kind of like serenity and no one else around me. But during the day and when I'm in my zone, I love to talk to as many people as possible. So yeah.
That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit more about kind of who the business serves. So you went pretty in kind of that introduction, a little bit of background. You gave us a pretty good snapshot of the types of roles that you fill for and that sort of thing. But you always like to just kind of frame up with who does your business primarily serve, or more effectively, like when we look at if I'm watching this later on, I'm in the audience, I'm watching this, this recording later on, and I'm listening to this interview, how would I know that I'm a really good fit to give you all a call, or I might know somebody that I should refer over to y'all?
So really, anyone that's looking for a job, which is a lot of people always, in any economy, there's always people out there looking for something new. Whether it's like, hey, I'm looking for a career change, whether it's hey, I just got laid off, which I'm hearing a lot of these days. But anyone like that, and again, because we do pretty much everything these days, it doesn't really matter. And if it's something we haven't really touched before, I can't help you out, I can probably refer you to someone that can. So from the candidate side, as we want to call it, anyone is anyone that's looking for something new. You know, from a client perspective, really most of the people we work with are probably founders, CEOs, anyone C-suite or VP and above really is generally who the general hiring point of calls or hiring managers are. Any type of company that's looking to hire people, ideally more than just a one-off, we'll do anything from executive search down to junior level people if need be. But most of the times we will find senior level people for companies. But yeah, founders, heads of talent acquisition. One of my clients actually recently, today, in fact, actually told us that our model is so great because we're literally an extension of talent acquisition department. So a lot of the times we work with companies who maybe have an existing talent acquisition department, and we're an extension of that to help them out of extra bandwidth, et cetera, and we kind of plug right in. Or what happens most of the time, we are a company's talent acquisition department. So that happens more often than not. So yeah, anyone that needs recruiting help for multiple roles that's growing, it's like, man, we can't handle all these roles. That's where we kind of come plug in and help them out and do it at a fraction of a cost, which would be a hell of a lot cheaper than hiring one by one. So yeah.
Very cool. So maybe talk a little bit about kind of that model that you have and maybe some of the competitors that you face in the market, especially for kind of the audience that hasn't, ventured into really understanding kind of recruitment and staffing firms and the different types of models and out there and that sort of thing. How do you all compare to the major competitors that are in the market today
Um,
for recruiting and hiring?
we're a lot cheaper, bottom line. I mean, most companies will charge, most staffing firms do like a contingent based fee, which is usually, between anywhere from 20 to 30% of first year salary, which gets to be quite expensive if you're hiring one by one, whereas we're a hell of a lot cheaper on a subscription, a month-to-month subscription model. People can plug in, plug out. Most companies don't do what we do because a lot of staffing firms like the big fees, which I totally get. I've been in that market. I've done it. Whereas we act a little, again, we really are kind of like an outsourced internal recruitment team, which will kind of plug into whatever model you have, come in and help you out with any kind of role, any kind of roles you have open to either help out your existing internal recruiting team or be that internal recruiting team for you. And there's not too many that do that. So I guess we compare just because we're a hell of a lot cheaper and we don't do the one-off roles really for clients. Unless there's an executive level role, and they tend to take longer, we'll do those. But for the most part, we'll do roles where a company's really growing. So if it's your first hire or even your second, third hire, doesn't really matter. Or even if you're looking at going from 100 people to 200 people, you need extra help. That's where we come in.
Very cool. I love that. So let's talk a little bit about marketing. I always love asking a few questions at
Yeah.
least about marketing. It's one of those areas that it's vital to every business, but not every business is like phenomenal at it at the very beginning. So getting kind of some lessons and that sort of thing from other industries, other businesses. But what's been kind of your philosophy to marketing and getting the word out there about what y'all do? What have you found to work and I don't know, maybe is there anything you've tried in the last 8 years that you're like, that didn't work at all? Like, that's not for us.
Yeah, actually, I can speak a lot about this because, for the last 4 years, we've actually had a dedicated marketing person. Now, for a company that's 5 people strong, that's rare to find, especially in a staffing firm. Most of the time, they do that when they're bigger. I'm a huge advocate of marketing and different ways of doing it, and I think marketing is a huge, very broad word. Some of the things that we've tried in it that haven't worked for us are Yelp. We found that Yelp is a lot more geared towards the food industry. I don't want to say the service industry because we are the service industry, but I'm talking restaurants and food options tends to be what Yelp is all about. And we tried it and didn't really work for us. Google AdWords didn't really work for us. The stuff that does work is all the organic marketing. Obviously SEO and ensuring that you're, up on the top or as close to the top of Google search rankings as you can be on the first page for some of your primary keywords. It's really hard to be at the first page for recruiting, but it's easier to be on the first page for recruiting and LA or recruiting and Austin, for example. So you can separate that by geography. We've started doing some LinkedIn paid advertising, which we haven't done before. Everything we've been doing is our own content that we've been writing and creating, but we've only been pushing it out to our current who we're connected with on LinkedIn. So we just started this month an initiative to try and do some LinkedIn paid advertising to get that content out to more people. And again, it's just organic content that we're sharing about the job market or some companies we're working with or trends or anything like that. So we're huge into content creation and creating our own content and pushing it out there to various different publications, as well as our own website and LinkedIn and stuff like that. We tried an email newsletter, which didn't work too well, but we started doing LinkedIn monthly newsletters, which work better, and we can track it a little bit easier and see analytics and things like that. So, yeah, they're probably some of the things that we've tried and we've been doing lately and over the last sort of few years that we've tried and worked. trying to think what else. We did used to do our own meetup events, but then COVID happened and that just sort of put a stop to those for a couple of years, and we haven't really picked those back up. So, but we do try and get out and, you know, meet our local community when we can. So, and that's really just more for getting out and meeting new people. I do quite a lot. I live in Austin, so I do quite a lot in Austin. You know, I'm a mentor at Capital Factory, which is a big sort of tech accelerator here in Austin, and I try and get out to those. They do a couple of meetups. You know, they actually do quite a few meetups, and I try and get out to those. But in terms of advertising, I mean, a lot of the online advertising we're doing tends to work pretty well. So so yeah.
Very cool. I'm curious on some of the organic content that you're pushing out there, especially the written things like LinkedIn articles, etc. What have you found to work the best in terms of kind of getting the prospects to take the next step? Like, what is that next step they take? Is it, you know, download something and they go onto an email list? Is it, you know, book a call at this point? Is it just kind of what have you found to kind of work to get some of your content to actually allow you to start having more conversations?
Um, we haven't really focused on any kind of action points on our content yet. It's more, hey, let's get the content out there, and let's see who comes through organically. We've spoken about action points, but we don't want to come across as too like we're selling something every time, or like, hey, here's the book call. We probably should do that, but we've just been pushing content out there to kind of help people. And our marketing director Seb loves to write stuff, so he's actually a writer himself. He's written a couple of books, so he loves to write. So I just let him. I give him the freedom to write whatever he wants to write. We're less focused on action items and more just focused on, hey, let's get some content out there that might be useful to people based on trends or what we're hearing or what we're seeing in the market, and then, you know, see who comes to us naturally. A lot of people kind of engage in that, say, oh, I've read that article, it was really cool. You know, we spend a lot of time on my own posts and my social media as well, which people come to me directly through that way as well. So I guess action points as in physical action points, we haven't really done too much of that, but most of the stuff that comes through is just organic, people liking things, or content that we're putting out there. Or I really like that article, and I could gravitate towards what you were saying there. So yeah, it's kind of cool when you see that.
Very cool. I love that, and it's such a big part of getting the word out there about what you all do. Kind of shifting it a little bit down the funnel, then, just to kind of help solidify some ideas for others in the audience. So you play the sales role within your organization as well, very kind of people oriented, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Where did those conversations come from? Is it, you know, past leads that you're just reaching out to? Is it people that are coming in inbound? Like, where's the vast majority of, you know, those that you have the opportunity to have a conversation with and move them down the path of you know, working with them down the road? Where are those leads or those conversations coming from?
I will tell you, it's all referral based. Even if I'm reaching out to people that might know someone at a company that I'm specifically targeting, I tend to look at certain companies specifically and want to target them specifically. And then I look for who might be able to give me a olive branch in there, so to speak. I've done my fair share of cold outreach throughout the years, and I used to be one of the guys that would make 100, 150 calls a day, and, you know, be in a bullpen, and it's very loud, and, you know, it's kind of Wolf of Wall Street type stuff, you know, and that was real, you know, that 10 years ago. It doesn't really work anymore. You know, you can't sit there and make 150 calls a day and expect anyone to even answer the phone, because, I mean, you know, right, if you look at the phone and someone's calling you from a number you don't recognize, you're declining it. You know, or even if someone you don't want to talk to, there's caller ID these days. Yeah, no, I don't want to talk to that person. I get some people that get offended when I send them an email cold. Not that I've done that recently, or, you know, probably in the last 4 or 5 years, but they're like, how dare you send me a cold email? I'm like, well, okay, I'm not supposed to call you. I dare leave you a voicemail, and now you're getting offended that I sent you an email. Like, how would you want me to? You want to show up to your door? Like, how do you want me to actually engage you? So everyone's very touchy feely, right? They don't want to be sold to. They don't want anyone to. And hey, I get it. Neither do I. You know, when I get a phone call from some 1-800 number, I'm not even answering it. I'm like, no. or even if I do manage to answer it and I'm like, hello, and they're like, oh, hi, is this Rory? And I'm like, oh God. And I'm automatically, I've got my finger on the button, ready to press, red button, no, go away. That person's very highly unlikely never going to get a chance to get their pitch out. So it's a referral based market these days with sales. You have to get a referral. One of my friends actually in recruiting told me, mentioned the other day that there's, sometimes it takes 18 touch points, I think is the new stat. 18 touch points to generate one lead. I'm like, that's a lot of touch points. So again, hence why the online marketing stuff is super key, because you're getting 18 touch points without having to constantly engage someone all the time, right? So it's exhausting. Business development in this day and age is exhausting. We've tried lead gen companies before, none of them work. They're just, they tend to spam people and like almost harass people into fine, I'll book an appointment, and you get on the phone with a lead gen company, generate lead, and they're like, yeah, I just took this because the guy was just harassing me. You're like, oh great, that's a great way to start off this call. And it's just not the kind of business that I want, So
Yeah.
it's got to be referrals, it's got to be people and that's the only way to do it, right? And online marketing. So there's the two-pronged approach: referrals, online marketing. That's it. That's the key to success for generating leads and business development in 2024.
Well, I love it, and I want to go like almost another step deeper in it, which is what you're really talking about is a lot of it's relationship building. It's making sure
Yeah.
that there is depth of relationship to all the conversations you have. Obviously, if you have a referral, there's already a built-in level of trust. It's some of the warmest leads that you can get. Digital marketing type of thing. You're putting content out there. You're building that relationship, over time.
Yeah.
But being in kind of the role that you're in within the business. Uh, how how have you found to build relationship quickly? Like if you're going to give some uh, advice or tactics for those watching this on if you want to build relationship, here's a few key things to do. What would you recommend, or what have you found to work for you?
No BS and genuine care. Two very simple things. A lot of people are just so caught up in constantly selling. Um, I'm not really worried about selling, right? Yes, I'm a salesperson by trade, right? But I've been doing it long enough that I tend to think of myself more as a problem solver. So think about a doctor. A doctor is essentially a salesperson too, but no one thinks that. Why does no one think that? Because people go into a doctor's office and they have a problem, and the doctor's going to help me solve my problem, right? Usually, what the doctor's thinking, the doctor's got in the back of his mind or her mind is, I'm going to sell you some pharmaceutical drugs because I'm going to get a nice kickback on those. Might be a little controversial me saying that, but that's the truth of the matter, right?
Yep.
Hence why there's a lot of documentaries about it right now. I've watched a few on Netflix recently. But I see myself as a problem solver. So when someone comes to me and I'm talking to them, I'm trying to diagnose a problem the whole time. If they feel they don't have a problem, my instant response to that is, well, why are we talking? Which most of the time they're like, oh, I thought you was going to sell to me. I'm like, no, like if you don't have a problem, I can't solve anything for you. So therefore you don't need me. I'm never going to be able to help you, and I'm never going to fulfill or satisfy you. So what's the point? I'm just wasting my time. It's a bit like, someone that there's a big push on return to office right now and people going back into an office. And I had this conversation with my team earlier. I said, listen, if you're talking to people and they don't want to, they want to be remote 5 days a week, don't even bother trying to convince them otherwise, because you're not going to. So I think it goes the same way. You've got to be a problem solver first and stop worrying about like what your agenda is, and start taking a step back and thinking about, well, what do they want, and how can I help them get what they want? Because ultimately, if they get what they want, you get what you want. So a lot of people flip that. They worry about what they want. Well, what do I want? What do I want? Yeah, you want to close the deal. I get it. Right. But how are you going to close that deal? By worrying about what you want? No. Or you're going to worry about what they want And firstly, can you even give them what they want? If you can't, it's okay. But like, listen, I can't give you what you want. They'll probably appreciate you and like you more for it. There's been many times where I've told a client, I can't help you, and they're like, what? But what? I didn't expect that. I thought you was going to just take everything. I'm like, no, I'm not a homeless person. It's just going to take any kind of dollar you got. Like, no, that's not how it works. I want to build sustainable relationships and I want referrals from you, right? That's what I really want. I want to do a great job with you. So you refer me to 5 of your friends. And that's how I run a business. And that's how you build a sustainable business that sustains things like COVID and a tech recession that we had last year. And look, we're still standing because of that mentality. And the people that haven't sustained COVID and down markets are the people that get that all flip flops.
Mm. I had a mentor a couple years ago, I think now, share something with me that's really stuck with me. And that's, in this selling process, it's whoever you're talking to, they have to identify that they have a problem and they have to articulate it. If they haven't done any of that, then there's nothing for us to do as a salesperson. Like they
Yeah.
have to identify it. All
Yeah.
we can do is provide them the opportunity for them to identify gaps that they have. It's like, oh, that's really cool.
No, exactly. And it's funny when you're doing cold outreach, wherever you actually get someone on the hook, right? Oh, I've got one, awesome. Everyone's been there, right? A salesperson will get, oh, I've got one, yeah. And then you talk to them on the phone or whatever, you do a call, and then it's harder to extract what their problem is. And that's when they come, well, I don't really have any problems. I'm like, well, why the hell are we talking? They're the ones that come to you they've come to you, so they already know what their problem is, and I've never really had a problem with those people. It's the ones that you're reaching out to cold, that agree to a conversation. It's like, well, listen, you agree to a conversation. I'm sure you don't want to have a conversation just because you've got nothing better to do. So what's your problems and how can I help solve them? It's as simple as that. So yeah, your mentor is exactly right. They have to. It's like an alcoholic, right? They have to admit they're an alcoholic to go get the help they need before they're ever going to help themselves, right? It's that other saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it.
Yep.
Yeah. It's very, very true. They're well-known sayings for that reason.
So true.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I know we've covered a ton in our conversation today, and I could ask you, 100 more questions, but I want to be respectful of the time. And I've got a few kind of rapid fire questions. I'd love to kind of bring out some additional, I don't know, wisdom nuggets for the audience here.
Go for it.
So a couple of them here. And when you look at kind of your journey through entrepreneurship, through life so far, through building this business over the last 8 years, what would you say for you has kind of been your key to success, kind of the thing that you would attribute most of your success to, in terms of like a trait or something else like that?
I think genuine care is probably the thing that stands out. I think if you ask my people what it would be, they'd definitely say honesty for sure, but there's a lot of people that are honest out there. But I think being genuine and also honest are two sort of key components. And I don't think you can be genuine without being honest, right? So I think that genuine care, and actually, when you say you're going to do something, do it. Um, and so yeah, I'd say genuine care is probably actually caring about my people, caring about clients, caring about customers, right? Just in general. Um, and really trying to help them out any way you can, whether you're going to gain from it or not. Again, I don't really worry about what my gain is from it. A lot of people are like, hey, well, how do you get paid? I'm like, don't worry about how I'm going to get paid. Like, I'll get paid. If I don't get paid on this one, I'll get paid on the next five. Like, I'm not worried about it. Money, if you do the right things, money will come. So that's what I focus on. So, but yeah, just being genuine with people and actually caring, I think are the biggest component, I would say, biggest
Cool.
trait.
Very cool. If you could give just one piece of advice for the other entrepreneurs in the audience, what piece of advice would you give them?
Keep hiring. You never know when you're going to find someone that's just amazing that elevates your business to the next level. I have to remind myself of that all the time, by the way. Keep hiring. My mentor reminded me of that. A guy called Mike Dupin, he's an amazing guy. I love him to bits. Reminded me of that the other day. And he's so right. He's like, just keep hiring. I forgot that for a bit, but
Mm.
it's important because I wouldn't be able to do what I can do without my team. I just wouldn't. And yes, you can make some bad hires. I don't believe anyone that says, "Oh, they've got an interviewing down, they never make a bad hire." Like, okay, dude, you're lying to yourself at that point. That's not true, right? Just keep hiring, and sometimes you'll probably hire, you definitely will hire someone that just takes your business from where it is. Wow, why the hell didn't I do that sooner? And not to be mean, but hey, if they don't work out, you can always fire them. You know, just keep hiring is the best advice I would give to any entrepreneur. It's the only way you're going to grow a business. It's only so much you can do on your own. So just keep
Mm.
hiring.
I like that. I like that a lot. How about book recommendations? Any books that you're currently reading or read recently that you'd recommend?
I don't read that much.
Or I always
It's my
like
daughter.
podcasts, documentaries, anything that you consume
Yes.
for fun that you could recommend.
Armchair Expert by Sheppard. He's my boy, so a good family friend, but his podcasts are hysterical. Um, yeah, I love Dax. He's awesome, and his podcast is amazing. So, but yeah, reading I don't get a lot of time for, though I should. The only books I read these days are Pet the Rabbit or whatever it might be to my 9-month-old daughter.
There
That's
you
about
go.
much reading as I get. It's probably about as intelligent as I am as well. I can probably about read very large print words that don't have too many pages. It's about my level.
Well, when you can like get in, and I mean, you mentioned documentaries earlier. Podcasts are phenomenal. Like, there's
Yeah.
so many different ways to learn. It doesn't always just have to be reading. That's the default question to ask. But I always love getting some ideas on podcasts or other things like that too. So I love it.
Yeah.
All right, one more rapid fire question. This one's just kind of fun. And if you could choose just one area in your business, and the key here is you only get to choose one, where you take a little bit of magic dust and you sprinkle it all over that one area, and it's 10 times better tomorrow than it is today. Where would you choose to put that magic dust?
Hmm. I mean, any business owner would say generating more clients because I don't think any business is like, oh, I've got too many clients. And then you don't have too many clients. It means you just need to hire more people. So I'd say that, but the on the funny part, if I could sprinkle some magic dust and make it so I don't have to do it, that would be the back office stuff. You just automate everything there for me. That'd be amazing. Um, but yeah, I would definitely say generating more clients because the more clients you have, the more people you can hire. And when you're just one person generating the clients, it's hard. I should probably just keep hiring, right? Take my own clients. But it's really hard to find a good business development person these days. Someone that doesn't come with terrible habits. I've interviewed quite a few, and some of them you just don't even like that much. You're like, I like pretty much anyone. I don't even like you that much. How is anyone else going to like you? It's like the biggest attribute that you could possibly have, just be likable. So, so yeah, but yes, there's two things there. I answered that in two ways, but I would say someone that if we could just sprinkle some dust and automate my P&L and accounting just to do it, that would be amazing. And uh, you know, automate my online marketing as well would be great. Just be the top page of Google every time, and that'd be amazing. Be in PR magazines and all kinds of different publications, be on every top 10 list out there.
There you
That.
go. There you go. Now we're getting exciting with it. Now that's a good answer.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up on the kind of last question, I always like to end these conversations on. For those that are in the audience that are watching this later on, where can they go for more information? How can they connect with you if they want to send you a message, say hey? Where can they go for more information on the business? Where can we advise them to go for more information?
Best thing is our website, fabricstaffing.com. You can send me an email, rory@fabricstaffing.com. Catch me on LinkedIn. God knows what that is, but just type in Rory Bebbington and it will come up. Yeah, that's the best three ways, but send me an email. I'm always on my phone or by my computer. So send me an email. Most people know I'll get back to them right away.
Beautiful. Well, I'll make sure to put all that in the video description below. So if you are watching this later, please, once this is over, go down, grab the links, check it all out, send him a message, say hey, say saw you on the business spotlight, great conversation. Just wanted to connect and say hey, especially for those of us here in Central Texas. It's great just to continue making new connections, things like that. So please, highly encourage you all to take that next step there. But Rory, as we finish off, I always like to end on the final question, which is simply, what is most inspiring to you today?
Anything?
Anything.
Anything. What is most inspiring to me? I've got to say, being a dad. I mean, watching I know that's not very business-like, but watching my daughter grow up and all the little changes she's going through it makes me want to be a better person, just to make sure that I'm the best role model I possibly can for her, which allows me then also to do better in my business and have even more empathy and patience. I think patience is a key thing. Uh, Patience, having more patience is something my daughter is teaching me every day. Empathy I have. Patience is something I always need to work on. And when you're very go, go, go all the time, patience doesn't come easily. So
Mm.
she teaches me things every day, and she is my inspiration. So yeah, I know that's probably a different answer than most people give, but there we go.
I love it. And I 100% agree. I've got two kids of my own, and they definitely teach the word of patience. They may not get it, but we
Yeah,
as parents definitely have to learn that patience word.
yeah,
Well, Roy, I want to say thank you for taking the time. This has been a genuine pleasure. I know we could probably sit here for like another hour and just really, dive into more stuff, but thank you for dedicating some time and allowing us to chat a little bit about your business and your journey into entrepreneurship.
yeah. Pleasure, mate. It's been great. Thanks so much.